Matcha and minds, we stir it up right.
Sustainability shining, ideas take flight. Innovations brewing, connections the key. With a mindful cup of matcha, come sip with EGF and C.
Welcome to Matcha and Minds, where matcha fuels our conversations about the future of events. My name is Morwesi, and I'm your host. And in each episode, we explore conversations, bold ideas, lived experiences, and talk about the power of thinking sustainably about the events industry. Today, we're talking to Justin Hawes from Scan Display. And without further ado, grab your cup, settle in, and let's dig in. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you, Morwesi.
So, Justin, you've been in the industry for quite a long time, decades, and you'll clarify this for us. Tell us a little bit about Scan Display and how it fits into the landscape, but also how it started and what was happening back then.
Yeah, so thanks, Morwesi. Yeah, Scan Display started in 1996. And I think was actually, the reason why it's called Scan Display is actually Scandinavia Display. It was started in Scandinavia, and it became a worldwide network of supplying portable exhibition equipment. So I started in the portable world. It was a new product for South Africa. And I think it's quite lucky that when I started Scan, South Africa was really on the up. We'd just come out of, the apartheid had finished. People were interested in South Africa as a market. And there was there's a flurry of exhibitions because here was a new market. Great way to enter the market is through exhibitions. And we're just really started at a good time, a business with a portable product.
Okay.
And that's how we started. And then we developed from portable into other system build and custom build, and then later into exhibition infrastructure and event infrastructure. So we're a turnkey company that does all three disciplines in terms of stand building and also in terms of infrastructure.
Okay. And you've obviously been through this industry from those early days up until what we're seeing today. What are some of the notable changes you've seen and trends you've seen emerging, particularly around infrastructure and how we're building this?
Yeah. So I think it's quite interesting. We were the first company with a roller banner.
Okay.
And that was in 98. It was a product which we found overseas, and we still manufacture it in South Africa, the same product. And that has still stayed the same, and people still using roller banners.
Okay.
And we still sell our same roller banner that we were selling in the late 90s. So there's certain things have stayed the same, and there's certain things have changed. I think what's changed, and it's, we talk about it here, sustainability awareness has changed dramatically. That's been a massive change.
Yeah.
I also think in terms of deadlines, they've got tighter. In terms of build times, it's also got tighter. In terms of expectations, it's also changed as well. I mean, I always remember the old days when you used to do 1 million proofs. Now there's more flexibility in terms of color, more flexibility in terms of the way things move. So it's actually been it's changed quite a lot how business is done. And I think also the industry's changed a lot. There was a lot of consumer shows, bigger consumer events. There's less now. There's still obviously some consumer events, but the growth of business to business has grown. And business to business you don't know about. So there's a whole lot of events out there. Sure, you might know about Mining in Durban because that's a big business to business show. Yeah. And you might know about AfricaCom and business to business. But there are other events that happen that you don't even, conferences that you don't know about. World conferences and specific events. Right now we're doing a Zero Roadshow, which you won't know about, but it's quite a big event. But it's corporate driven. So I think corporates are reaching out. I think there's a growth in corporate usage of exhibition and events. And I think also another thing that's also changed, COVID changed a lot because I think people realize that face-to-face is important. So at the time of COVID, we didn't have face-to-face. People thought that our industry was dead, face-to-face, but it's come back really strongly. It's come back strongly, and
Great.
worldwide we're
Yeah.
seeing that face to face. There's nothing better than actually meeting somebody in person. It's like us, we in person here, and if we were
Correct.
dealing with this on a Zoom call, it just wouldn't be the same intimacy. We
Mhm.
wouldn't get the same results. I
Correct.
wouldn't be able to see the beautiful view out of the studio. I can see Northcliffe Hill in the distance.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Mm.
And you touched on sustainability, which is obviously quite a big issue. I mean, not only is it a global challenge and threat to all of us, but obviously it will take everyone in the industry, particularly the eventing industry, as quite an impactful industry in the whole global emissions landscape. But for yourself and your industry, and particularly your business, how have you seen this emerge and become significant over time?
Yeah, it's changed dramatically. You know, it's become very mainstream.
Great.
I remember starting out when I started out Event Greeting Forum, co-founded it
Yeah.
in 2008 and 2007, having discussions with people in the industry, and we really didn't know what sustainability was about.
Yeah.
And where we are now, it's you know, everybody's thinking about it. Maybe not everybody's doing it,
Yeah.
but it's definitely very mainstream. And I've even seen Event Greeting Forum.
Mhm.
I mean, it's wonderful of an organization I formed is just to see how much new energy there is
Correct.
and new discussions and, you know, people just involved in it. So it's really become mainstream.
Yeah. And I think it's wonderful that, I mean, the wisdom came out of yourselves and others at the time to actually form the Event Greeting Forum, because now there's actually an industry organization. There's some structure around this. How are you seeing the Event Greeting Forum growing, emerging, and being embraced by the industry?
Yeah, so I think it's quite unique Event Greening Forum because there are obviously one or two worldwide bodies on greening, you know, like the Greens Meetings Industry Council, but it's a worldwide body.
Yeah.
Where Event Greening is it's a South African or African. We don't have many members overseas. I mean, out of South Africa, but it's very focused on greening, which is very unusual, very special.
Yeah.
We don't worry about, you know, greening in somebody's home. We don't worry about, you know, educating schools. It's very much focused on greening in events. And that's very unusual worldwide. I mean, I've been involved on a worldwide platform. I was the president of the Worldwide Stand Builder organization for 2 years. I was on that committee for another 8. So I get insight into what's happening internationally. But it's very interesting to see that this is very unique and very special.
Yeah.
Very.
Absolutely. So you're quite unique because not only are you a practitioner in terms of running a very big and successful business in the sort of infrastructure side of events, but you also are leading an industry body. So I like that because you kind of like cross between the two. But for that reason, maybe talk to us about what does greening look like in an event, or what would you consider a green event beyond infrastructure, and then we'll go back to infrastructure.
Yeah, so I think greening an event starts with the planning,
Right.
and that's absolutely essential. And you know, you can't have an event and 2 days before and say, let's make it green. And we see that. We see that where people just want to make it a green event, but it's an afterthought. So, and it's difficult. We know we're working in towns where people don't plan a lot. So for me, what is a green event? It starts with a green intention.
Okay.
What is the plan? What are the thoughts? What are we going to do? And it's not, you know, you walk before you run. Start small. Start doing some stuff. And it's a small thing, small steps. So greening event is do it in the planning, small steps, work out a plan. I think one of the sadnesses I have is there's not enough consultants in our industry, green consultants. I think that's an opportunity. Also, you know, I'd like to see more of that. And that would, you know, get a consultant on board and drive the process. And I also think, you know, people think that like a green event is something that there's lots of untreated wood look and there are lots of plants and it's not about that. I mean, that's an element. You can have that. You can have lovely plants. And in this very studio, I see there's beautiful, unbelievable, beautiful plants next to us here. And then outside, I mean, the camera can't pick it up, but I see there's a herb garden. Yeah, wow, cool. And that's a nice step that you know, the owner's taken here. So I think that it's small steps, plan, and then see it through, and then grow on it. Yeah. And not an afterthought. And it's quite sad that a lot of it's afterthought and ticking boxes, where it's actually there's a lot that can be done.
And that when it happens that way, where you sort of box ticking and all, I mean that raises the threat of greenwashing, doesn't it?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of that in greenwashing, and then we're seeing, and I think it's just look. There is a cost to greening, and it's another thought.
Correct.
But sometimes it actually saves.
Mm.
Sometimes you can actually save. I mean, one of the things which we drive quite a lot in our company is trying to get our customers to reuse the graphics.
Okay.
Now, you'll have a show like Travel in Darba, where 80% of those custom stands are rebuilt. That's fantastic.
Wonderful.
And the graphics are reused. Whereas you'll have another event, and often conferences are the worst because it's an international conference, one-off. They build a cool stand, and then it's just not used again because of transportation limitations, and we don't know where the next show is, and we don't know our space. And all that. So, I think it's it really needs thought, and one really needs to monitor the whole process and walk it through.
And I mean, in trying to promote that reusability, for example, you mentioned one element, which is probably around managing your logistics, right? And making sure that perhaps if you're going to reuse it in the future event, maybe you don't move it away from that locality if the event is going to happen consistently in that space. What about things like you mentioned your printed materials? I think I might have heard that maybe not putting dates on certain things might help. Because then you can actually use that particular banner or whatever for a couple of times. Are there any other ideas you suggest to your clients?
Yeah, so I think, like you mentioned, is locality is important. So, I spoke about tourism in Darba, and it's in Durban, and our company does some stands and infrastructure, which we try and keep as much as we can in our Durban office. But our Durban office is small. So what actually happens then is a lot of stuff we then store in Johannesburg, which has got a carbon footprint to it, but I've got no other solution. So because the cost of a warehouse that size is prohibitive. So we then so it's a mitigation. So what we try and do is we try and use an interlink rather than a small trucks. Use a big interlink and bring the stock back. And on that same interlink, we brought back a whole lot of floors, which we're going to reuse. So we've got limitations. So I think also it's not just about, it's a green path. What can you do best?
Yeah.
And it's not just, we just keep everything there and it's a cost. What we do is we work around it. So I think that's, in terms of logistics, you need to think about it and then plan accordingly, and try and obviously keep things as close in one place as closest to the event as possible. But sometimes it's not practical. And I think it's also practicality. You don't want greening to be a situation where a company is making all sorts of massive sacrifices from a cost point of view and actually resenting the greening and eventually just saying, you know what, it actually doesn't work. So you really want to be part of your plan. And you spoke about the graphics not being branded, not being date specific. It's important. For instance, our stand, which we've done at Meetings Africa, we've got two sets of graphics, a left and a right. Depends on where we're in the hall. And we used it 5 times.
Wow.
Yeah. So the same graphics, and we're in the game. So we use the same graphics. We use a portable system. I don't go and build a custom stand. I'd love to see more portable systems built. And that's great. So it's just we reuse it again and again, and we store the stuff in our Johannesburg warehouse. So there's some logistical considerations around it. And if you've got a left facing stand or a right, because they're on corners and we've been shifted around a bit, we've kept the left and the right. So depending on where we are, we just move it around. And we've got another show later this year in August where I'm going to use the same graphics.
Wow. So I guess it sounds to me like what you're saying is it doesn't have to be onerous and extremely prohibitive, also cost-wise and otherwise. It's really about choosing the best sustainable option given what you're dealt with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things which we do in our company is a book, Green Tips. And every week somebody brings up a green tip. So they read the book. I've given the book to quite a few. And I think it's just also incorporating it in the team.
Nice.
So I do find, in a way, it's all very well for the bosses to be excited about greening. It's important that it's a holistic thing. So everybody in the office has got a contribution, even someone in administration, making sure that the paper they use is recycled or not printing the paper. So there's a whole lot of other, you really want it to be a team consideration.
So you walk the talk, not
only
we try. With your clients,
we try. I don't,
back home.
We agreed. We try. I mean, I think there's always things that disappoint. in any process,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we try.
Okay, great. Let's talk about now. I mean, you are obviously an advocate. You're sold. You walk the talk. There's a lot of these practices also being embedded, even back in your own operations, which is fantastic. But how do you, sell this idea to a customer who is not one familiar with this or even convinced that this can work? What are some of the things what are some of the messages that you convey to them about why greening their event is worthwhile and how they can do this?
I think it's always hard because often I find our customers think they know more than we do, and that's always a challenge.
Yeah.
Not always, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
happens. I think in a way one's got to give options. So
Okay.
in any process, you've got this as an option. Um, you can build a custom stand, but it could be thrown away. You could go with a system stand, and the thing will be reused. So I think and it will be lower cost. So I think options is important to talk about options, and to mention at the right time in terms of sustainability. But I have seen there's such a big drive, and in South Africa, we're getting more and more international organisers. From internationally, there's such a big drive in Europe, the US, Asia, especially Europe, and it's very easy to offer, to talk about those options.
Yeah.
Where the other organisers that aren't as, so I think options are important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And options. Here's an option, and it's also green.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to say it's a green option. You know what I mean? It's part of the conversation.
Correct. Correct. And I mean, we like the sort of stories and the lived experience. Do you have a story to share, perhaps, about a client who really was completely unconvinced, and you managed to sway them a little bit, even if it's marginal, but you managed to sway them and ultimately change that, because it does take one nudge at a time. Any success stories you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think of a client, Professional Beauty. It's a beauty show.
Okay.
And they had PST panels, and people used to put vinyl on the panels. And the problem with vinyl on a panel, it doesn't last because it gets scratched, and it's really a one use. And we really pushed hard on going with a fabric shell option, and said, listen, this is the fabric shell, and also said clients can reuse the graphics. And we switched them from the PST vinyl option to a fabric. They sold on the fabric now, and the clients reuse the graphics on the fabric.
Okay.
So I think it's also important that one also plans around that. So if somebody's got a 3x3 corner, they need another 3x3 corner. So you've got to make sure that, and the clients need to know about it. So it also can't be an afterthought.
Yeah.
The graphics arriving. So I think that's a good example of
Nice.
yeah,
Okay.
really good.
Yeah. And speaking of materials, I mean, you've seen the whole evolution from, what was happening 3 decades ago to what's happening now. Maybe talk us through the different materials over time, and also their sort of place in the sustainability chain, and what you foresee going into the future.
Sure. Yeah, so I think, I spoke about vinyl. There was a lot
Yes.
of usage of vinyl a
Still?
long time ago.
Oh,
Still
long
is.
time.
There's
Okay.
probably, I think now it's probably 30%, I would say, in terms of print material. Problem with vinyl, it is a PVC, as is the fabric printing. It's also PVC, so it's not great in terms of that. But at least the fabric can be reused, and it needs to be reused, and it needs to be washed and looked after. So I've definitely seen less vinyl, more fabric. I've also seen it grow in system build. With system mean using aluminium, which is a product which can be reused, recycled. It's a sturdy product, and I see that has grown. And it's actually hidden, so there's more cladding of it. So you think it's a nice, cool custom stand because you don't see aluminium, but there's actually wood clad on the end, or a vinyl clad on the end, or a fabric clad. So I think also what's changed is, in the old days you used to see the aluminium. Now you don't.
Okay.
So I think that's also changed over a period in terms of MDF, and it's not a great product. That's what you use for custom build and chipboard. We try and reuse it. I think people are reusing it more and more, but it's not. I'd love to see another. There are a couple other solutions. There's obviously the Zanita and the cardboard options, which is a good option.
Correct.
That's another option. So there are a couple of options out there in terms of of products. I mean, for me, is if you had to ask me to choose, I think our fabric pop-ups is the greatest solution because that thing just lasts forever.
Right.
The graphics can be looked after. You can make different configurations, and the client can set it up themselves. So there's a lower cost, and it just fits in some carry bags. So it's not a big transport cost that can be delivered. So I think for me, the fabric pop-up has changed dramatically from old vinyl days to now the fabric option. So fabric growth. We've also seen LEDs. All lighting's LED. You know, when people say LED green, it's standard. I mean,
It's no longer a thing.
No, it's not a thing. I mean, I see sometimes on scorecard,
Yeah.
you know, are we using LED? And I laugh at that because, you know, this very studio, we've got some stuff here. I mean, there's a massive LED light there.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been halogen 15 years ago, or not even 5 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
So LEDs changed everything. Lower consumption. Obviously, AV's grown. The audiovisual's grown a lot.
Right.
And
energy efficiency in the AV.
yes.
Right.
But I mean, I, in a way, I think one of the sort of things that we don't really talk about, the amount of cost to run computers, to run,
Yes.
you know, computers and data centers and all that. It's not just what's you sitting here on the table here. It's all the stuff in the background. So now you're So I think, you know, there's a lot of electrical consumption that we don't talk about. We say, oh, let's just go, you know, do it on the computer and don't print out the paper. You know, what is really sustainable? But I have seen the changes, you know, the LED, the wood, the fabric. There have been some dramatic things that have changed.
And I mean, I imagine, you know, what matters to a client is also costs and, you know, and the whole cost benefits that needs to probably be, you know, unpacked quite well. You do mention that fabric is great because it lasts longer. But, you know, what are some of the objections from clients and what are some of these cost implications of these type of materials? Is there high startup cost, but long, you know, reusability over time, or has, you know, do these sustainable options also reduce over time, or at least the upfront investment?
Yeah, so I think the on-site time is much shorter on a vinyl, on a fabric rather than a vinyl, because you just put it into the frame.
But is it more cost effective than
the other? Yeah, so I think it's a more cost effective option than a vinyl print.
Okay.
Or you know, I think it is more, I can say, it saves time.
Okay.
I mean, one of the problems we have, and I'll talk about this, and people technical wise, when we used to do wooden floors, we used to do floors that used to click together. So it was actually wood strips and click together. Now what happens, you just use a vinyl that goes on top, which is not great. So, you know, I think also part of the problem is because of the deadlines we have, we face challenges. So I'll give you an example.
As well.
Constraints. And I'll give you an example. Yesterday I was chatting to our electricians, who do electrical in shows, is they will take a long roll of electrical. So there's a lot of plug and play. So our lights we plug in like a laptop, like these lights here. But what you'll do is, if you're trying to run a long cable, you'll have to maybe run a long cable. Often that cable is then, we do the show, we open up the floor, we take the cable out. Instead of unscrewing it from the plug, we just cut it because of the time constraint. Now, if I had to say to my electricians, listen, sit there and take the plugs out, take the wires out, and we're going to reuse and connect and all that, it just wouldn't happen. So unfortunately, with the deadlines we have, it creates certain challenges with regards to sustainability. So I look at what we do with those coils is we would cut them and we try and reuse them on registrations and smaller runs. And we got a big box which we grab from every time. But you know, gradually it's just getting shorter and shorter, and stuff's getting thrown out. Whereas it's a challenge.
Yeah. I guess it goes back to the point that you really make the most sustainable choice given what you do.
Exactly.
You know, it's not about chasing the gold standard, because then nobody would get anything done if that's the case. I mean, at SCAN, you've also been acknowledged and recognized quite widely in the industry. Just what does your awards cabinet look like?
Thank you. I've got a a cabinet next to my desk with some
You
awards
actually
and
have
stuff.
a cabinet.
Yeah, I've got a cabinet, glass cabinet, one of our rental ones.
Oh.
And I think it's 15 years old. And we reuse it. Well, when we're desperate, we run out of stock, we use it's been used once or twice on site. But the thing is, it's interesting because things have changed now. Instead of the old days, you've got trophies.
Yeah.
There's no longer trophies now, it's just certificates.
Oh.
So now we've got a whole lot of certificates, and we just put our latest ones on the wall. And then,
there's so many that you're running out of wall
yeah,
space.
well, in a way, I mean, one of the great things about our industry is there is recognition.
Correct.
I've got friends in other industries who you keep saying to me, you get recognized. Where they just out there, in the manufacturing. I've got a good friend in the manufacturing business, and he never gets any award or anything like that. And he said, it's so unfair. I wish there was some association. Yeah, so we've won a lot of awards, but we've also focused on it. So you can't say, we won awards just because we're creative and we think about sustainable. If you think about sustainable awards, all that, we also work around it. So we think, what can we do, and then we enter. Yeah, you can't win a race without running it.
Okay, great. And I mean, I imagine part of the reason you win awards and get recognized is because you really are also constantly innovating and reinventing yourself and looking at ways to improve. What are some of the innovations you've come across? Some of the interesting stuff in the industry, globally and locally, that you've seen that you can share with us?
Yeah, so I think.
Catch the rest of this conversation in Justin's second episode, where he dives into global trends and more.
I'm just encouraging everybody to please follow us on the socials. Just search Matcha Minds, and all kinds of content will come up. But please follow us, and see you next time at the next episode as we carry on talking to great industry minds, sharing wisdom, sharing stories, sharing ideas around the future of sustainability in the event industry. For now, toast.